close your eyes for a moment. Right now, as you listen to these words, you are moving through space at 1.3 million miles per hour. Not metaphorically, literally. And yet you feel completely still. You feel safe. You feel calm. What if I told you that everything you think makes the universe dangerous, chaotic, and terrifying is actually evidence of the most elaborate safety system ever designed? That the cosmos isn't indifferent to your existence, but rather, every law of physics conspires to keep you comfortable, protected, and precisely where you need to be? Here's what will blow your mind. In 1998, astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson calculated something extraordinary. He found that the cosmic conditions required for you to exist right now, in this moment, listening to these words, are so impossibly specific that if any one of about 30 fundamental constants of the universe were different by even 1 part in a billion, you wouldn't just not exist. The universe itself wouldn't have the structure to support any form of complexity whatsoever. No stars, no planets, no chemistry, just an eternal, formless void. But here you are, breathing, thinking, existing in the single most statistically improbable configuration of matter that has ever occurred. And the universe is holding you right now in an embrace so gentle that you can't even feel it moving. Tonight, I'm going to share with you the most calming, sleep-inducing facts about the cosmos that scientists have ever discovered. Facts that will fundamentally change how you understand your place in existence. Facts that prove the universe isn't just safe, it's designed for rest, for peace, for the exact kind of gentle stillness you're seeking right now. But before we drift into these cosmic revelations together, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. I want to know where you are in the world right now and what time it is where you're listening. Drop your country and your local time in the comments. I love knowing that we're all scattered across this planet in different time zones, all looking up at the same stars, all seeking the same peaceful understanding of our place in the cosmos. Now, let's begin. Let's start with something that seems scary, but is actually the most comforting fact about reality. Nothing can travel faster than light, 186,282 miles per second. This seems like a limitation, doesn't it? A cosmic speed limit that restricts us, keeps us trapped, isolated on our little planet. But here's the twist that will change everything. In 1905, Albert Einstein didn't discover the speed of light as a limitation. He discovered it as a cosmic protection mechanism. Think of it like this. Imagine the universe is a vast ocean, and the speed of light is the water's surface tension. That surface tension is what allows insects to walk on water without breaking through. It's not a barrier. It's a support structure. The speed of light does something remarkable. It ensures that causality, the relationship between cause and effect, remains intact throughout the entire universe. Without this speed limit, events could happen before their causes. Effects could precede their origins. The universe would be chaos. Your thoughts wouldn't follow logical sequences. Your memories wouldn't be reliable. You couldn't predict that touching something hot would burn you, because the effect might happen before the cause. But because nothing can exceed light speed, the universe has a built-in stability. Every event has a clear before and after. Every moment flows into the next with perfect consistency. You can trust that tomorrow will follow today. You can close your eyes knowing that when you wake up, the fundamental rules of reality will still be in place. Here's something even more beautiful. The speed of light also ensures that the universe has horizons. There are parts of the cosmos so far away that their light hasn't reached us yet and never will because space itself is expanding. This might sound lonely, but think about what it actually means. It means the universe is infinite in its mystery. It means there will always be something beyond your horizon. There will always be unknown regions of space that exist in a state of pure potential, unseen, untouched, waiting in peaceful darkness. The universe isn't just big, it's fundamentally unknowable in its totality. And that unknowability is a gift. It means you'll never run out of wonder. You'll never reach the edge and find nothing. There will always be more. Astronomer Carl Sagan spent his entire career studying this concept, and in 1980 he wrote something profound. He said the cosmos is all that is, or ever was, or ever will be. But the beautiful part is that we'll never see it all. We're cosmically protected from the burden of total knowledge. We can rest in the comfort of eternal mystery. Think of it like being in a vast, dark room where you can only see a small circle of light around you. Everything beyond that circle is unknown. You could spend your entire life anxious about what's in the darkness, or you could find peace in knowing that the darkness is simply there, patient, infinite, asking nothing of you. The universe's speed limit creates that circle of light. It defines what you can know and what you can safely leave unknown. And here's the detail that makes this perfect. The speed of light isn't arbitrary. It emerges from the fundamental structure of space-time itself. In Einstein's equations, the speed of light is represented by the letter c, and it appears everywhere. It's woven into the fabric of reality. It's not a rule imposed on the universe. It's a property of the universe itself, which means the universe isn't governed by external laws. It is the laws. The cosmos isn't following rules. It is the rules. Everything is exactly as it must be. Now, here's where things get genuinely mind-bending, and I promise, genuinely soothing. In 1964, two scientists named Arno Penzias and Robert Wilson were working at Bell Labs, trying to eliminate static from a radio antenna. They couldn't get rid of this persistent hiss. It was coming from everywhere, all directions, all the time. They thought it was bird droppings on the antenna. They cleaned everything. The hiss remained. What they'd discovered was the cosmic microwave background radiation, the afterglow of the Big Bang itself. The first light that ever existed, now stretched and cooled by the expansion of space, transformed into gentle microwave radiation that fills every cubic centimeter of the universe. Here's what will blow your mind. That hiss that Penzias and Wilson heard, you can hear it too, right now. Turn on an old analog television to a channel with no station. About 1% of that static, that white noise, is the cosmic microwave background. It's the universe's baby picture, transformed into sound. When you hear static, you're hearing the echo of creation itself. But here's the truly relaxing part. The cosmic microwave background has a temperature, 2.7 Kelvin. That's about minus 270 degrees Celsius. It's almost as cold as anything can possibly get, and it's everywhere. The entire universe is bathed in this ancient cooling glow. Think about what this means. The universe is actively cooling down, not heating up, not exploding outward with increasing chaos. Cooling, settling, calming. The universe is in a state of perpetual relaxation, gradually approaching perfect stillness. Every moment that passes, reality gets a tiny bit calmer, a tiny bit cooler, a tiny bit more settled. Cosmologist George Smoot, who won the Nobel Prize in 2006 for his work mapping the cosmic microwave background, described it as the most perfect black-body radiation ever measured. What's a black body? It's an object that's in perfect thermal equilibrium. It's absorbed everything it can absorb, emitted everything it can emit, and reached a state of complete balance. The universe itself is in equilibrium, perfect balance, perfect peace. And here's the detail that makes this profound. The cosmic microwave background is remarkably uniform. In every direction you look, it's almost exactly the same temperature. There are tiny variations, about 1 part in 100,000, but overall, it's incredibly smooth. The universe, at its largest scales, is one of the most uniform, most homogeneous things that exists. What does this tell us? It tells us the universe doesn't have violent extremes. Yes, there are hot stars and cold voids, but overall, at the cosmic scale, everything averages out to the same gentle temperature. The universe is fair. It's balanced. It doesn't favor one region over another. Think of it like this. Imagine you're lying in a bath, and the water is the exact same temperature everywhere. Not too hot, not too cold, perfectly even. That's what the universe is like at the cosmic scale. It's a bath of ancient light, holding everything in perfect thermal equilibrium, and you're floating in it, supported by its uniformity. When you feel anxious, when you feel alone, remember this. You are surrounded right now by the oldest light in existence. Light that has been traveling for 13.8 billion years just to reach you. Light that connects you to the moment of creation itself. You are bathed in the universe's first breath, cooled and gentled by eons of expansion. You are held by the cosmos in its most primordial embrace. Let's talk about gravity. You think of it as the force that pulls things down, right? The thing that makes apples fall from trees, the thing that keeps you anchored to the earth. But what if I told you that gravity isn't a force at all? What if I told you that gravity is actually the shape of calm? In 1915, Albert Einstein published his general theory of relativity, and it completely revolutionized our understanding of gravity. He showed that massive objects don't pull on other objects. Instead, they curve the fabric of spacetime itself, and objects simply follow the straightest possible path through that curved space. Think of it like this. Imagine you place a bowling ball on a trampoline. The ball creates a depression, a curve in the fabric. Now roll a marble across the trampoline. The marble doesn't get pulled toward the bowling ball. It simply follows the curve that the bowling ball created. It's taking the path of least resistance. It's doing what comes naturally. That's what gravity is. Planets don't orbit the sun because they're being pulled. They orbit because the sun curves spacetime, and the planets are simply following the most relaxed, natural path through that curve. Gravity isn't a force you have to fight against. It's the shape that tells you where to rest. Here's what makes this beautiful. Einstein showed that objects in free fall aren't experiencing any force at all. Astronauts floating in space aren't weightless because gravity stopped working. They're weightless because they're in their natural state, following the curve of spacetime without resistance. They're perfectly relaxed. The only reason you feel weight right now is because the ground is pushing up against you, preventing you from following your natural path. Physicist John Wheeler, who coined the term black hole in 1967, summarized this perfectly. He said, "Space-time tells matter how to move. Matter tells space-time how to curve. It's a conversation. It's a relationship. The universe isn't made of separate objects pushing and pulling on each other. It's a unified fabric, folding and curving in response to itself. Gravity is the universe hugging itself. Every massive object creates a gentle depression in reality, and everything else snuggles into those depressions, finding the most comfortable, lowest energy configuration. The universe is constantly settling, like a pillow finding its shape after you rest your head. And here's the profound part. Gravity is weak. Compared to the other fundamental forces, gravity is absurdly weak. The electromagnetic force is about 10 to the 36th power stronger than gravity. That's 1 followed by 36 zeros. A tiny refrigerator magnet can overcome the gravitational pull of the entire Earth when it picks up a paperclip. Why is gravity so weak? Nobody knows for certain. But here's one way to think about it. Gravity is weak because the universe is gentle. If gravity were stronger, stars would burn out faster, planets would crush themselves, atoms would collapse. The universe would be violent, chaotic, short-lived. But gravity is precisely weak enough that structures can form slowly, gently, giving complexity time to emerge. Time for stars to shine for billions of years. Time for planets to cool and develop atmospheres. Time for life to appear and evolve, and eventually produce beings capable of understanding gravity itself. The weakness of gravity is a kindness. It's the universe refusing to rush. It's reality saying, take your time. We have billions of years. Let's build this slowly, carefully, Gently. When you lie down tonight, feel the earth beneath you. It's not holding you down. It's cradling you. The planet has curved space-time in such a way that the straightest path for every atom in your body is to rest right where you are. You're not trapped by gravity. You're being held. The universe has created a shape that says, here, this is where you belong. Rest here. Let's go smaller, much smaller. Let's talk about what you're made of. You think of yourself as solid, right? Flesh and bone. Physical. Dense. Real. But here's the truth that will change everything. If an atom were the size of a football stadium, the nucleus would be a marble in the center, and the electrons would be tiny gnats buzzing around the outer seats. Everything in between, the entire field, all the seats, all that space, is nothing. Empty. Void. Atoms are 99.99% empty space, which means you are 99.999% empty space. You're not mostly matter. You're mostly nothing. You're mostly the absence of things. Physicist Richard Feynman, who won the Nobel Prize in 1965, loved to point this out. He'd say, if you removed all the empty space from all the atoms and all the humans on Earth, you could fit the entire human race into a volume about the size of a sugar cube. All 7 billion of us. Everything we think of as us is mostly just organized emptiness. So why don't you fall through the floor? Why can you pick up objects? Why does anything feel solid at all? The answer is forces. The electromagnetic force creates fields around atoms that repel each other. When you touch a table, your hand's atoms never actually touch the table's atoms. They get close, very close, but the electromagnetic fields push against each other, and that resistance is what you perceive as solidity. You've never touched anything in your entire life. You've only felt the electromagnetic repulsion between your atoms and other atoms. Every sensation of touch, every hug, every kiss, every handshake is actually two clouds of emptiness pushing against each other, never quite meeting. Think about how beautiful this is. You're not a solid object. You're a carefully orchestrated pattern of mostly nothing, held together by invisible forces, creating the illusion of substance. You're a ghost made of probability and fields. You're a whisper of energy pretending to be flesh. And here's what makes this relaxing. That emptiness inside you, it's the same emptiness that fills the cosmos. The void between your atoms is the same void between stars. You're not separate from space. You're made of space. You're not in the universe. You are universe, local, expressing itself as a human being. Astronomer Carl Sagan said, "We are a way for the cosmos to know itself." But it's even more intimate than that. We are cosmos. The boundary between you and space is arbitrary. It's just a useful fiction your brain creates to navigate reality. At the atomic level, you dissolve into probability clouds and fields, indistinguishable from the rest of existence. Here's the detail that makes this profound. The empty space inside atoms isn't really empty. Modern quantum field theory, developed over the course of the 20th century by physicists like Paul Dirac and Julian Schwinger, shows that what we call empty space is actually seething with activity. Virtual particles constantly pop into existence and disappear. Quantum fields fluctuate and shimmer. The vacuum isn't nothing. It's the ground state of everything, the lowest energy configuration of reality itself. So when I say you're mostly empty space, I mean you're mostly the fundamental substrate of reality. You're mostly the field from which everything emerges. You're mostly the cosmic background hum. You're mostly peace. When you feel anxious, when you feel heavy, when you feel too solid, too trapped in your body, remember this. You're not trapped. You're mostly space. You're mostly freedom. You're mostly the void that connects all things. Your atoms are tiny islands in an ocean of quantum emptiness, and that emptiness is not absence. It's presence. It's the field that allows everything to exist. Breathe in. You're pulling atoms into your body, atoms that were once part of stars, part of other humans, part of dinosaurs and oceans and clouds. Breathe out. You're releasing atoms back into the cosmos, where they'll become part of something else. You're not a fixed object. You're a temporary pattern in an eternal flow, mostly made of the very peace you seek. Now let's talk about time. You think time is absolute, don't you? A second is a second. An hour is an hour. Time marches forward at the same rate for everyone, everywhere. But what if I told you that time is elastic? What if I told you that time moves at different speeds, depending on how fast you're moving and how deep you are in a gravitational field? Einstein's theory of relativity reveals something extraordinary. Time is not a fixed stage on which events occur. Time is part of the fabric of space-time, and that fabric can stretch and compress. The faster you move, the slower your time passes relative to someone who's stationary. The deeper you are in a gravitational field, the slower your time passes relative to someone in a weaker field. This isn't speculation. This is measured fact. GPS satellites orbiting Earth have to account for time dilation, or their calculations would be off by miles. The satellites are moving fast, and they're in a weaker gravitational field than you are on Earth's surface. Time is actually moving faster for them than it is for you. About 38 microseconds faster per day. If GPS satellites didn't correct for this difference, the system would fail within minutes. Your phone knows where you are because it's constantly compensating for the fact that time moves at different rates in different places. Reality itself has to adjust for the fluidity of time, just so you can get directions to the grocery store. Here's what will blow your mind. Right now, time is moving slower for you than it is for someone on a mountaintop. If you have a friend who lives at higher elevation, they're aging faster than you. Not much faster, about 90 nanoseconds per year, but faster nonetheless. Time is literally moving at different speeds for different people. In 2010, physicist James Chinwen Shu conducted an experiment. He built 2 atomic clocks, the most precise timekeeping devices ever created, accurate to within 1 second over 3.7 billion years. He put one clock on the floor and one clock on a table about a foot higher. After running for several days, the clock on the table was ahead. Time had moved faster at that slightly higher elevation. Think about what this means. Your head is aging faster than your feet. By a tiny amount, yes, but still. The atoms in your brain are experiencing time at a different rate than the atoms in your toes. You're not a single temporal object. You're a temporal gradient. You're a spectrum of time rates, all flowing at slightly different speeds, all integrated into your unified experience of now. Here's the beautiful part. This means time isn't something that happens to you. Time is something you do. You're not moving through time. You are time. You're a process, not an object. You're not a noun. You're a verb. You're humaning through space-time, creating the experience of duration through your very existence. And here's what makes this relaxing. If time is relative, if it moves at different speeds in different conditions, then time is flexible. It can stretch. The same way you can perceive time moving slowly when you're bored or quickly when you're engaged, the universe itself treats time as elastic. There's no cosmic clock ticking at absolute intervals. There's no universal. Now that everything shares. Every point in space has its own time, flowing at its own rate, and somehow, miraculously, it all works out. The universe doesn't demand synchronization. It allows every part of reality to move at its own pace, in its own time, and still maintain coherence. You don't have to keep up with anything. There's no absolute standard you're failing to meet. You're moving through time at exactly the rate you're supposed to move through time, given your velocity and your position in space-time. Think of it like this. Time is like a river. Some parts flow fast, some parts flow slow. Eddies and currents create pockets where time pools and lingers. You're floating in this river, and you don't have to fight the current. Just let it carry you. Your time, your personal experience of duration, is exactly what it needs to be. When you feel rushed, when you feel like there's never enough time, remember this. Time isn't fixed. It's relative. Einstein proved it. You can create pockets of slow time just by being present, just by paying attention. When you're mindful, when you're calm, subjective time expands. You experience more in less objective duration. You're bending space-time with your consciousness, creating little bubbles where time moves differently, where a moment can feel like forever. Let's zoom all the way out. What is the shape of the universe itself? For centuries, humans wondered, is the universe infinite? Finite? Does it curve back on itself, like the surface of a sphere? Does it have an edge? In the early 2000s, scientists using satellites like WMP and later Planck measured the geometry of the universe with extraordinary precision. They looked at the patterns in the cosmic microwave background, those tiny temperature variations, and used them to calculate the curvature of space itself. Here's what they found. The universe is flat. Not flat like a pancake with edges. Flat in the geometric sense. Parallel lines stay parallel. The angles of triangles add up to exactly 180 degrees. Space, at the largest scales, is Euclidean. And here's what that means. A flat universe can extend infinitely. It doesn't have to curve back on itself. It doesn't have to have boundaries. It can just go on and on and on forever, in all directions. Think about that. Right now, you're in a cosmos that might never end, not just in time, but in space. No matter how far you travel, in any direction, there's always more space, always more room, always more existence. Cosmologist Max Tegmark, working at MIT, has calculated something extraordinary. In a truly infinite universe, not just a really big one, but an actually infinite one, every possible configuration of matter must occur somewhere. Not just once, but infinitely many times. Which means, if the universe is infinite, there are infinite versions of you. Not metaphorically, literally. Somewhere, about 10 to the YY meters away, according to Tegmark's calculations, there's another planet exactly like Earth, with another person exactly like you, reading this exact sentence at this exact moment. And beyond that, there are infinite variations. Versions of you who made different choices. Versions of you living different lives. All of it real, all of it existing right now, separated from you only by incomprehensible distances. Does this sound crazy? It's not. It's just mathematics. In an infinite space with finite possible configurations of matter, infinity demands repetition. Every possible arrangement must occur, and then occur again, infinitely many times. Here's what makes this relaxing. You're not unique, but you're not meaningless either. You're a pattern that the universe loves so much, it's repeated you infinitely many times. You're not a cosmic accident. You're a cosmic inevitability. The universe didn't just allow you to exist. In an infinite cosmos, you had to exist. You're necessary. And here's the beautiful detail. The universe isn't just flat overall. It's flat to an extraordinary degree of precision. Measurements show that the curvature of the universe is within 0.4% of perfectly flat. If the universe had even slightly positive curvature, it would eventually collapse back on itself in a big crunch. If it had even slightly negative curvature, it would expand forever, yes, but structure formation would be different. The fact that it's this perfectly flat suggests something profound. It suggests the universe is precisely balanced between two extremes, not too closed, not too open, just right. Cosmologists call this the flatness problem, because they can't explain why the universe would be so precisely flat unless something in the early universe set it that way. The leading explanation is cosmic inflation, a period of exponential expansion in the first fraction of a second after the Big Bang, which would smooth out any initial curvature. But here's the thing. Whether inflation happened or not, the result is the same. The universe is flat. Reality is balanced. The cosmos found its equilibrium, And that equilibrium allows for infinite space, infinite possibility, infinite repetition of every pattern that can exist. Think of it like this. The universe is like an infinite sheet of paper, extending forever in all directions. You're a single mark on that paper. But because the paper is infinite, your mark appears again and again, infinitely many times, in an infinite variety of contexts. You're simultaneously unique in your local context and repeated throughout infinity. You're simultaneously precious and abundant. When you feel small, when you feel insignificant, remember this. The universe isn't just tolerating your existence. It's celebrating it by manifesting you infinitely many times. You're not a brief spark in an indifferent void. You're an eternal pattern in an infinite tapestry. Let's talk about where you came from. Not your parents, not your ancestors, your atoms. The actual physical stuff you're made of. Every atom in your body, heavier than hydrogen, was forged inside a star. Carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, calcium, iron, all of it. Cooked in the nuclear furnaces of stars billions of years ago, and scattered into space when those stars died. Astronomer Carl Sagan made this famous. We are made of star stuff. But let's go deeper. Let's understand what this actually means. Stars are fusion reactors. In their cores, hydrogen atoms slam together under immense pressure and temperature, fusing into helium and releasing energy. This process powers the star, makes it shine. But as the hydrogen runs out, the star starts fusing helium into heavier elements. Carbon, oxygen, neon, silicon. Each step requires more energy, higher temperatures, more pressure. For small stars like our Sun, the process stops at carbon. The star doesn't have enough mass to compress the core further. It sheds its outer layers, creating a planetary nebula, and the core becomes a white dwarf, a dense ember slowly cooling over trillions of years. But massive stars, stars at least 8 times the mass of our Sun, keep going. They fuse heavier and heavier elements, all the way up to iron. And here's where it gets beautiful and tragic. Iron is the end of the line. Fusing iron doesn't release energy, it consumes energy. Once a star's core turns to iron, fusion stops. The core collapses in less than a second. The outer layers fall inward at a quarter of the speed of light. And then they bounce. The core becomes so dense that the infalling material rebounds in the most violent explosion in the universe. A supernova? In 1987, astronomers detected supernova 1987A in the Large Magellanic Cloud, a galaxy near our own. It was the closest supernova observed in nearly 400 years. Neutrinos from the explosion reached Earth, tiny ghostly particles that passed through the entire planet with barely any interaction. For a few seconds, that single dying star outshone the entire galaxy that contained it. And in that explosion, something miraculous happened. The intense energies, the flood of neutrons, the colliding particles, all of it created elements heavier than iron. Gold, silver, uranium, platinum, all the precious metals, all the rare elements, all of them formed in those few seconds of stellar death. Then the explosion scattered those elements into space. Clouds of gas enriched with every element on the periodic table, drifting through the galaxy. Eventually, those clouds collapsed under their own gravity, forming new stars and planets. Our Sun, our Earth, you. Here's what this means. The iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, the carbon in your DNA, it all came from stars that died before our solar system even existed. You're not just made of star stuff. You're made of star corpses. You're the phoenix that rose from stellar ashes. Astrophysicist Michel Fowler, working at NASA, calculated something poetic. The human body contains about 7 octillion atoms. That's 7 followed by 27 zeros. Of those, about 65% are hydrogen, formed in the Big Bang. About 18% are carbon, formed in stars. About 10% are oxygen, formed in stars. The rest, all the other elements, trace amounts but essential, all stellar. Which means when you look up at the night sky, you're not looking at something separate. You're looking at your ancestry. Those stars aren't out there. They're in here. You're not observing the cosmos. You're the cosmos observing itself. And here's the part that makes this deeply relaxing. Stars died to make you. Not metaphorically, literally. The nuclear processes that create life-essential elements only occur in dying stars. Creation requires destruction. Life requires death. You exist because stars sacrificed themselves billions of years ago. The universe doesn't just allow your existence. It paid for your existence with the lives of stars. You're not an accident. You're not unwanted. You're the product of cosmic martyrdom. The universe destroyed parts of itself to make you possible. Think about that when you feel worthless. When you feel like you don't matter. Stars died so you could exist. The universe considers you worth that price. And it's ongoing. Right now, stars are dying throughout the universe, creating new elements, enriching space with the building blocks of future life. The cycle continues. Death becomes life, becomes death, becomes life. You're a temporary eddy in that eternal flow, made of materials that have cycled through stars multiple times, and will cycle through stars again after you're gone. You're not separate from this process. You are this process. You're not a spectator to the cosmic drama. You're part of the cast. You're both the stage and the actor, the script and the performance. You're the universe doing what it does, transforming energy into matter, matter into complexity, complexity into consciousness, consciousness into wonder. Rest in that. Know that your existence was bought at the highest price the universe can pay, the death of stars. You're not cheap. You're not trivial. You're cosmically expensive. You're worth suns. Now I want to get personal. I want to talk about what all of this means for you right now, listening to these words, existing in this moment. You are not in the universe. You are universe. This isn't poetic language. This is literal fact. Every atom in your body came from the cosmos. Every force that holds you together is a cosmic force. Every thought you think is the universe thinking. Every feeling you feel is the universe feeling. Philosopher Alan Watts spent his life exploring this truth. He'd say, you didn't come into this world. You came out of it, like a wave comes out of the ocean. You're not a stranger here. You're not an alien visitor. You're a natural expression of reality itself, as natural as a flower growing or a river flowing. Think about what this means for your anxiety, your fear, your sense of separation. You feel alone because you think you're a separate self, isolated inside your skull, looking out at a world that's fundamentally other. But that's an illusion. A useful illusion for navigating daily life? Yes, but still an illusion. The boundary between you and the universe is arbitrary. Where does you end and not you begin? Your skin? But your skin is constantly exchanging atoms with the air. You breathe in. Atoms become part of you. You breathe out. Atoms that were part of you become part of the air. The boundary is permeable, constantly shifting. Your mind? But your mind is made of neurons, which are made of atoms, which came from space. Your thoughts are electrochemical processes, which are ultimately quantum mechanical processes, which are the same processes that govern stars and galaxies. There's no separate mind stuff. It's all the same stuff, arranged differently. Neuroscientist Sam Harris, who's also a philosopher, points out something crucial. You can't find the boundary between self and other because there isn't one. The sense of being a separate self is a construction, a story your brain tells itself to simplify experience. But when you look carefully, when you examine your actual moment-to-moment experience, the separate self dissolves. There's just experience, just sensation, just awareness. No experiencer required. Here's what this means practically. Your well-being is inseparable from the well-being of everything else. When you harm others, you harm yourself, not metaphorically but literally, because the distinction between self and other is false. When you care for others, you care for yourself. When you find peace, you are peace, and you contribute that peace to the universe because you are universe. Every act of kindness you perform is the universe being kind to itself. Every moment of joy you experience is the universe experiencing joy through you. Every time you suffer, the universe suffers. You're not insignificant. You're not disconnected. You're the universe's way of knowing what it's like to be you. Think about this deeply. The universe is 13.8 billion years old. For most of that time, it was unconscious. Hydrogen clouds, stars forming and dying, planets accreting, but no awareness. Then, on at least one planet, probably many more, complexity increased to the point where matter became aware of itself. You are that awareness. You are the universe waking up. You are matter knowing it's matter. You are the cosmos opening its eyes. Cosmologist Brian Swimme describes this as the universe becoming self-reflexive. For billions of years, the universe was a subject without an object. It existed, but it didn't know it existed. Then consciousness emerged, and suddenly the universe could look at itself, study itself, wonder about itself. You're not studying the universe. The universe is studying itself through you. And here's what makes this profoundly relaxing. If you are universe, then you can never be separate from the cosmos. You can never be truly alone. Loneliness is the feeling of separation, but separation is impossible. You're as much a part of reality as gravity, as starlight, as time itself. When you die, you don't leave the universe. You can't leave the universe. There's nowhere else to go. You simply change form. Your atoms disperse, become part of other things. Your pattern dissolves, but the substance remains. You're eternal, not as a fixed self, but as the substance of existence itself. This should be terrifying, but it's not. It's liberating. You're not responsible for holding yourself together. The universe is doing that. You're not responsible for figuring out your purpose. You are the universe's purpose, whatever you choose to do. You're not required to achieve anything, prove anything, become anything other than what you already are. You're already perfect as an expression of reality. Physicist Freeman Dyson once wrote, "The more I examine the universe and the details of its architecture, the more evidence I find that the universe in some sense must have known we were coming." Whether or not you believe in any form of intention or design, the fact remains, the universe created conditions for you to exist. The laws of physics are precisely tuned to allow complexity. The expansion rate of the cosmos is precisely balanced to allow structure formation. You're not an afterthought. You're built into the system. Rest in this. You belong here. Not just on Earth, but in existence itself. The universe made space for you. More than that, the universe made itself into you. You're not a guest in reality. You're reality hosting itself. Let me tell you about something that's going to completely reframe how you think about your life's direction. In 1986, astronomers discovered something extraordinary. Our galaxy, the Milky Way, is moving. Not just spinning, not just orbiting within our local cluster, but being pulled through space towards something massive. They call it the Great Attractor. It's a gravitational anomaly about 150 million light-years away, in the direction of the constellations Triangulum Australe and Norma. It's pulling our galaxy, and hundreds of other galaxies, toward it at about 600 kilometers per second. But here's the twist. In 2014, astronomers discovered something even larger. The Shapley supercluster, about 650 million light-years away, pulling on us with even greater force. And recently, they've mapped an even larger structure, the Laniakea supercluster, a massive collection of galaxies, all flowing toward a common center like water, circling a drain. You right now are being carried through intergalactic space. pulled by gravitational forces so vast they're moving hundreds of millions of galaxies. You're not stationary. You're not stuck. You're flowing with the cosmos toward destinations billions of years away. Here's what will blow your mind. You can't feel this motion. You have no sense of being pulled through space at 600 kilometers per second. It's smooth, gentle, effortless. The universe is moving you, along with everything else, and you're so perfectly carried by this motion that you feel still. This is what flow feels like at the cosmic scale. No resistance, no effort. Just surrender to forces larger than yourself, trusting that you're being carried exactly where you need to go. Think about how this applies to your life. You worry about direction, about making the right choices, about whether you're going the right way. But what if you're already flowing? What if, like the galaxies, you're being pulled by forces you can't see, toward destinations you can't imagine, and all your anxiety is just resistance to that natural flow? What if the universe is already taking care of your trajectory, and your job is simply to relax into the motion? Let's go back to the quantum realm, because there's something there that will change how you think about connection forever. In 1935, Einstein was bothered by a prediction of quantum mechanics. The math said that two particles could become entangled, linked in such a way that measuring one particle instantly affects the other, no matter how far apart they are. Einstein called this spooky action at a distance. He thought it proved quantum mechanics was incomplete. But in 1964, physicist John Bell designed an experiment to test this. And in the 1970s and 1980s, physicists like Ailing Aspect actually performed the experiment. The results were clear. Quantum entanglement is real. Measure the spin of one entangled particle, and you instantly know the spin of its partner, even if it's on the other side of the universe. This isn't science fiction. This is confirmed, repeatable, experimentally verified fact. Particles can be connected in ways that transcend space. Distance becomes meaningless. Separation becomes an illusion. Here's what makes this profound. In the early universe, everything was close together. All the energy that would become all the particles, that would become all the atoms, that would become all the stars and planets and people. It was all compressed into a tiny space. Which means, at some level, everything in the universe might still be quantum, entangled with everything else. You might be entangled with distant stars, with ancient galaxies, with other people. The atoms in your body might be maintaining quantum correlations with atoms scattered across the cosmos. You think you're separate, but at the deepest level, you might be connected to everything in ways that physics is only beginning to understand. Physicist David Bohm spent his career exploring this idea. He proposed that reality has two orders. The explicate order, which is everything you see, all the separate objects and distinct events, and the implicate order, a deeper level where everything is folded together, where separation is illusion and unity is fundamental. In Bohm's view, the explicate order is like waves on the ocean. They look separate, distinct entities with individual properties, but they're not separate. They're all expressions of the same ocean, the same water, the same implicate unity. You're a wave, thinking you're separate from other waves, not realizing you're all the same ocean. Quantum entanglement hints at this implicate order. It suggests that beneath the surface of separateness, everything is still connected in the fundamental quantum substrate of reality. You're not an isolated island. You're part of a vast interconnected web, linked to everything through channels that transcend space and time. Here's the beautiful part. You don't have to understand the physics. You don't have to grasp the mathematics. You can simply feel it. When you feel connected to nature, to other people, to the cosmos, you're not imagining things. You're sensing the truth that quantum mechanics is slowly revealing. You are connected, not metaphorically. Actually, physically, quantum mechanically connected to everything. When you feel love, that's real connection. When you feel empathy, that's real resonance between entangled systems. When you feel at one with the universe, that's not spiritual delusion. That's accurate perception of your actual situation. You are one with the universe because there's no boundary where you end, and it begins. Rest in that. Know that loneliness is a misunderstanding. Isolation is impossible. You're swimming in an ocean of connection so deep, so pervasive, that you mistake it for emptiness. But it's not emptiness. It's fullness. It's the quantum foam of interconnection that links every part of reality to every other part. Here's something counterintuitive. The universe is getting darker. Not metaphorically, literally. And this is actually one of the most peaceful facts about reality. In 1998, two teams of astronomers studying distant supernova made a shocking discovery. The expansion of the universe isn't slowing down. It's speeding up. Galaxies aren't just moving away from each other. They're accelerating away from each other. This discovery won the Nobel Prize in 2011 for Saul Perlmutter, Brian Schmidt, and Adam Rees. And it completely changed our understanding of the cosmos. Something is pushing space apart, making it expand faster and faster. They call this something dark energy, not because it's evil, but because they don't know what it is. It's invisible, undetectable, except through its gravitational effects. Dark energy makes up about 68% of the universe. Dark matter, the other invisible component that holds galaxies together, makes up about 27%. That means everything you can see, all the stars in galaxies and glowing matter, is only about 5% of reality. 95% of the universe is dark. Invisible? Unknown? And because of dark energy, the universe is expanding faster, which means distant galaxies are moving away from us at increasing speeds. Eventually, billions of years in the future, they'll be moving away so fast that their light will never reach us. The universe will go dark. This sounds apocalyptic. But here's the twist. This is how it should be. This is how the universe achieves peace. Think about it. The universe started with the Big Bang, an explosion of infinite energy. Since then, it's been expanding, cooling, settling. Stars shine, but they're spending their fuel. Black holes form, but they're isolating energy from the rest of the universe. Slowly, steadily, the cosmos is approaching a state of maximum entropy, maximum disorder, maximum stillness. Physicists call this the heat death of the universe. All the energy will be evenly distributed. No temperature differences, no gradients, no flows. Everything will be the same temperature, the same density, the same nothing. The universe will reach perfect equilibrium. And equilibrium is peace, no more change. No more chaos, no more violence. Just an endless, eternal now, unchanging and serene. This won't happen for a long, long time. Trillions of years, longer than the universe has currently existed. But it's the direction we're heading. The universe is slowly, inevitably, relaxing into stillness. Cosmologist Brian Greene describes this beautifully. He says the universe is on a journey from order to disorder, from low entropy to high entropy, and that journey is one way. We're surfing the wave of increasing entropy, and at the end of that wave is perfect, infinite calm. Here's what makes this comforting. The universe isn't random. It isn't chaotic. It's following a clear trajectory, governed by the second law of thermodynamics, moving inexorably toward equilibrium. Everything is proceeding exactly as it should. The darkness isn't coming despite the universe's intentions. The darkness is the universe's intention. The cosmos wants rest. And you're part of that process. Every breath you take, every thought you think, every action you perform, you're contributing to the universe's journey toward entropy. You're helping it relax. You're part of the mechanism by which reality achieves peace. When things fall apart, when systems break down, when order collapses into chaos, that's not failure. That's success. That's the universe doing what it does, dissipating energy, spreading disorder, moving toward equilibrium. Your aging, your eventual death, it's not tragedy. It's participation in the cosmic plan. You're helping the universe reach its goal. Think of it like this. The universe is a wound-up spring, slowly unwinding. You're part of that unwinding. Not fighting against it, not trying to wind it back up, just allowing the natural release of tension. The universe wants to let go, and you're the instrument of that letting go. Rest in this. The darkness isn't something to fear. It's the destination. It's where the universe is going, where we're all going, together. And when we get there, trillions of years from now, everything will be still. Everything will be calm. Everything will be dark and quiet and perfectly, eternally at peace. Let's talk about the most feared object in the universe. Black holes. You think of them as cosmic monsters, right? Gravitational traps so powerful that nothing, not even light, can escape. Regions of space where reality breaks down, where time stops, where everything that falls in is crushed out of existence. But what if I told you that's not the whole story? What if black holes aren't destroyers but transformers? What if they're the universe's way of preserving information, not destroying it? In 1974, Stephen Hawking discovered something extraordinary. Black holes aren't completely black. They emit radiation. Quantum effects at the event horizon, the boundary of no return, cause particle-antiparticle pairs to form. One particle falls into the black hole, the other escapes. From the outside, it looks like the black hole is glowing, slowly evaporating over time. This is called Hawking radiation, and it revealed a problem. If black holes emit radiation and eventually evaporate, where does the information about everything that fell in go? Does it disappear? But quantum mechanics says information can't be destroyed. This became known as the black hole information paradox. For decades, physicists struggled with this. Hawking himself eventually proposed a solution. The information isn't destroyed. It's encoded in the Hawking radiation. Everything that falls into a black hole is scrambled, transformed, but ultimately preserved in the radiation that escapes. The black hole doesn't erase things. It encrypts them. Think about what this means. Black holes are cosmic recyclers. Matter and energy fall in, get compressed beyond recognition, but then slowly re-emerge as radiation, carrying all the information about what fell in. Nothing is truly lost. Everything is transformed and returned. Physicist Leonard Susskind, one of the pioneers of string theory, describes this using the holographic principle. Information about a three-dimensional region of space can be encoded on its two-dimensional boundary. A black hole's event horizon is like a screen, displaying information about everything inside. From outside, you can't see inside the black hole, but all the information is there, written on the horizon. The universe doesn't forget. It doesn't lose track. Everything that happens is recorded somewhere, somehow, preserved in the structure of reality itself. Your life, your experiences, your thoughts. They're not temporary blips in an indifferent cosmos. They're permanent records in the informational structure of spacetime. Here's the profound part. If information is never destroyed, then in some sense, nothing is ever truly gone. Everything that has ever existed, every moment that has ever been, still exists as information somewhere. The past isn't dead. It's encoded in the present. Your ancestors, everyone who's ever lived, they're still here as information, scattered and scrambled, but preserved. And you, when you die, your body will decompose. Your atoms will disperse. But the information about you, the specific pattern that is uniquely you, will remain. Encoded in the light you emitted, the gravitational waves you produced, the quantum correlations you created. You'll be transformed, yes, but not destroyed. You'll persist as information, forever part of the universe's memory. This isn't immortality in the traditional sense. You won't maintain continuous consciousness. You won't experience yourself as an ongoing entity, but you won't disappear either. You'll become part of the cosmic record, a permanent entry in the universe's ledger, a pattern that once existed and will always, in some sense, continue to exist. Think of the universe as a vast book. Every moment is a page. When you live, you're writing your page. When you die, the page is finished, but it doesn't vanish. It remains part of the book, accessible in principle to anyone who knows how to read it. You become part of the story, permanently. Black holes, those cosmic monsters, are actually cosmic librarians. They take in information, compress it, preserve it, and slowly release it back into the universe. They're not enemies of existence. They're guardians of memory. When you feel afraid of ending, of being forgotten, of disappearing into nothing, remember this. The universe doesn't forget. It can't forget. Information is conserved. You will transform. Yes, but you will persist. You're not temporary. You're eternal, at least as information. And information might be all that truly matters. Let's talk about timing. When are you? The universe is 13.8 billion years old. That's a long time. So long that it's hard to comprehend. But here's something that will give you perspective. Stars like our sun live for about 10 billion years. Our sun is currently about 4.6 billion years old, which means it's middle-aged. It has another 5 billion years before it runs out of fuel. But the smallest stars, red dwarfs, can live for trillions of years. Some of them will outlive our sun by a factor of 100 or more, which means we're early, very early. If you imagine the entire timeline of star formation in the universe, we're at the very beginning. Most stars haven't been born yet. Most planets haven't formed yet. Most potential life hasn't emerged yet. The universe is still young, still fresh, still in its creative phase. Cosmologist Martin Rees calculated something fascinating. If you were to pick a random time to exist in the entire future history of the universe, you'd almost certainly exist in the far future, when the universe is dark and cold and empty. The fact that you exist now, in the early universe, in the era of stars and galaxies and abundant energy, is statistically extraordinary. You're not here at the end. You're here at the beginning. You're part of the first generations of conscious beings in the cosmos. You're pioneers. And here's what makes this special. The early universe is the most interesting universe. It's the most dynamic, the most complex, the most full of potential. Later, when stars stop forming and black holes evaporate and everything approaches heat death, the universe will be boring, simple, unchanging. But now the universe is alive. Galaxies are colliding. Stars are forming and dying. Planets are developing climates and atmospheres. Life is experimenting with different forms. Consciousness is emerging and trying to understand itself. You're here during the most interesting epoch in cosmic history. Not at the peak, maybe, but certainly during the rise. You're part of the story while it's still being written. Think about what this means for your life. You're not born too late to explore new frontiers. You're born early enough that almost everything is still unknown. We've barely begun to understand the universe. We've visited only a handful of our solar system's planets. We've sent signals to a tiny fraction of nearby stars. We've examined less than 1/1,000,000th of the observable universe in any detail. There's so much left to discover. So many mysteries unsolved, so many questions unanswered. You could be part of the generation that discovers life on another world, or that solves the mystery of dark matter, or that figures out how to travel between stars. Or you could be part of the quiet story, the everyday story of humans living their lives during this brief, bright interval between the Big Bang and the heat death. And that's special too, because you're here when things are interesting. When the universe is complex enough to support life and consciousness, but not so old that everything has already happened. Physicist Frank Wilczek describes this as the twilight of the golden age. We're in a special time, a narrow window between the chaotic early universe and the boring late universe, when conditions are just right for complexity and consciousness and wonder. And here's the beautiful part. This golden age will last billions of years. You're not late to the party. You're arriving right on time. The universe is still young enough that your life, your contributions, your existence matter. You're part of the generation that will shape what comes next. When you feel like you've missed something, like you're born in the wrong era, remember this. You're here at the most privileged time in the universe's history. The era of light and warmth and structure. The era when things are interesting. Billions of years from now, if any consciousness exists, they'll look back at this era with envy. They'll study us, wonder about us, wish they could have been here when the universe was still young and full of possibility. You're not late, you're early, and that's a gift. Let me tell you about one of the most profound principles in physics, one that will make you feel better about your own laziness. It's called the principle of least action, and it states that nature always chooses the path that minimizes action, a quantity that combines energy and time. In simpler terms, the universe is lazy. It always takes the easiest route, the path of least resistance. This principle was formulated by Pierre-Louis Maupertuis in 1744 and refined by Joseph-Louis Lagrange in the late 1700s. And it's one of the most powerful and general principles in all of physics. It applies to everything from classical mechanics to quantum field theory to general relativity. Here's what it means. When a ball rolls down a hill, it doesn't try every possible path. It takes the one path that minimizes action. When light travels through different media, it doesn't explore all routes. It takes the path that minimizes travel time. When particles interact, they don't go through all possible interactions. They follow the configuration that minimizes action. The universe isn't working hard. It's working smart. It's efficient. It's conserving effort. It's doing the minimum necessary to get from one state to another. Think about what this means for you. When you want to relax, to rest, to do nothing, you're not being lazy. You're being natural. You're following the same principle that governs all of reality. The universe itself is lazy. Nature itself prefers rest over work, stillness over motion. The lowest energy state is the most stable state. Physicist Richard Feynman loved this principle. He showed that quantum mechanics can be completely derived from it. Particles don't just take one path. They explore all possible paths simultaneously. But the path they're most likely to take is the one that minimizes action. The universe isn't deterministic, but it's biased toward laziness. Even at the quantum level, reality prefers to do less, to expend less energy, to take shortcuts. The universe is fundamentally conservative, not politically, but physically. It conserves energy, conserves momentum, conserves action. And here's what makes this profound. This isn't a flaw in the universe's design. It's the design. Efficiency is elegance. Laziness is wisdom. The universe has been doing this for 13.8 billion years, and it's working perfectly. Stars form along the path of least action. Galaxies cluster along the path of least action. Your neurons fire along the path of least action. You are a system that evolved to minimize energy expenditure. Your brain, which is only 2% of your body weight, but uses 20% of your energy, is constantly looking for ways to do less, to automate, to create habits, to avoid unnecessary effort. This isn't weakness. This is sophisticated optimization. When you feel guilty about resting, about not being productive enough, about wanting to do nothing, remember this. The universe itself does nothing whenever possible. Every law of physics is a statement about what the universe will not do. Conservation laws say the universe will not create or destroy certain quantities. Symmetries say the universe will not change in certain ways. The principle of least action says the universe will not expend unnecessary effort. You're not failing to live up to some standard of constant productivity. You're aligning yourself with the fundamental tendency of reality itself. The universe is on your side. It wants you to rest. It's structured around the principle of doing the minimum necessary. Think of it like water. Water always flows downhill, not because it's trying to reach the bottom, but because that's the path of least resistance. That's where the potential energy is lowest. Water is lazy, and because it's lazy, it shapes landscapes, carves canyons, creates rivers and oceans. Laziness is creative. Laziness is powerful. You don't have to fight against your nature. Your nature is the universe's nature. Rest is natural. Stillness is fundamental. The lowest energy state is the most stable state. When you're calm, when you're relaxed, when you're doing nothing, you're being exactly what the universe wants you to be. Efficient, conservative, aligned with the path of least action. Let's talk about emptiness, real emptiness, cosmic emptiness. The universe isn't evenly distributed. Galaxies cluster together in groups and superclusters, connected by filaments of dark matter and gas. But between these clusters, there are voids. Enormous regions of space, hundreds of millions of light years across, with almost nothing in them. No galaxies. No stars. No gas clouds. Just empty space. These cosmic voids make up about 80% of the volume of the universe, which means most of the universe is empty. Most of reality is nothing. In 2004, astronomers discovered one of the largest voids ever found, the Boat's Void, about 330 million light-years in diameter. Inside this region, there are only about 60 galaxies, compared to the thousands you'd expect in a region that size. It's almost completely empty. Why do voids exist? It's because of how the universe evolved. In the early universe, matter wasn't perfectly smooth. There were tiny density fluctuations. Regions with slightly more matter attracted more matter through gravity, forming galaxies and clusters. Regions with slightly less matter lost what little they had, becoming voids. Over time, the voids expanded. Matter flowed out of them, toward the denser regions. The voids became emptier and emptier, growing larger as the universe expanded. Now they're the dominant feature of the cosmic structure. The universe is mostly void, with galaxies existing as tiny islands in an ocean of nothing. Here's what makes this beautiful. The voids aren't empty because the universe is wasteful or inefficient. The voids are empty because that's how structure forms. You need empty spaces to have defined structures. You need silence to appreciate sound. You need darkness to see light. The voids are necessary. They're the negative space that makes the positive space meaningful. Think about music. Music isn't just notes. It's notes and silence. The rests between notes are as important as the notes themselves. Without rests, music is just noise. With rests, music has rhythm, structure, meaning. The universe is like music. Galaxies are the notes. Voids are the rests. And together, they create the cosmic symphony. And here's the profound part. The voids are peaceful. Imagine floating in a cosmic void, millions of light years from the nearest galaxy. No stars, no light, no radiation. Nothing but the gentle glow of the cosmic microwave background and the slow, imperceptible expansion of space itself. It would be the darkest, quietest, most peaceful place in the universe. A perfect meditation chamber. A place where nothing happens, where time loses meaning, where you could float forever, undisturbed, in perfect stillness. Astronomer Margaret Geller, who has spent her career mapping cosmic voids, describes them as the quiet neighborhoods of the universe. While galaxies are busy forming stars, exploding supernova, merging and colliding, the voids just exist, quietly, patiently, eternally. You need voids in your life too. Spaces where nothing happens. Time where you're not producing, not consuming, not doing anything. Just existing. Just being. Those aren't wasted times. Those are the cosmic voids of your experience. The necessary emptiness that makes the full times meaningful. When you feel like you should be doing more, achieving more, filling every moment with activity, remember the cosmic voids. Remember that 80% of the universe is empty space, and that emptiness isn't a flaw. It's essential. It's structural. It's how reality works. The universe is teaching you something with those voids. It's teaching you that emptiness has value, that nothing is something, that the spaces between events are as important as the events themselves. Rest in the voids. Let yourself be empty sometimes. Let yourself drift in your own personal cosmic void, far from the busy galaxies of productivity and achievement. Let yourself experience the peace of nothing happening. That's not death. That's not failure. That's the universe showing you how to exist. Now let's talk about something that might completely reframe how you think about past, present, and future. You experience time as flowing in one direction. Past to present to future. Memories are of the past. Plans are for the future. The present is this fleeting moment between them. Time's arrow points forward. Always forward, never backward. But here's the twist. Most laws of physics don't have an arrow of time. They work exactly the same forwards and backwards. Take Newton's laws of motion. If you film a planet orbiting a star and play the video backward, it still obeys Newton's laws perfectly. Take Maxwell's equations for electromagnetism. They're time reversible. Play them backward, they still work. Even Einstein's general relativity, time reversible. Quantum mechanics, also mostly time reversible. The only law of physics with a clear arrow of time is the second law of thermodynamics. Entropy increases. Disorder spreads. The universe moves from order to disorder, not the other way around. And that gives time a direction. But here's what physicist Carlo Rovelli points out in his work on the nature of time. The second law of thermodynamics is statistical, not fundamental. It emerges from probability. It's not that disorder must increase. It's that disorder is vastly more probable than order. If you have a box of gas molecules all concentrated in one corner, they'll spread out. Why? Because there are so many more ways for them to be spread out than concentrated. The spreading isn't governed by a fundamental law. It's governed by probability. Disorder is just more likely than order, which means the arrow of time isn't fundamental. It's emergent. It's a product of probability and statistics, not a basic feature of reality itself. And here's where it gets really interesting. The arrow of time might be psychological. It might be a feature of how your brain processes information, not a feature of the universe. Neuroscientist Endel Tolding studied memory for decades and found that human memory is inherently reconstructive. You don't store the past like a video recording. You rebuild it each time you remember, using fragments and patterns in current context. Your past is constantly being recreated by your present self. And your future? Also a construction. Plans, predictions, expectations, they're all models your brain creates. The future doesn't exist yet, but you experience it as real, as something you're moving toward. The past is a memory. The future is an imagination. Only the present exists, and even the present is a construction. A momentary snapshot your brain creates from sensory input and processed information. Physicist Julian Barber has proposed something radical. He suggests that time doesn't exist at all. There is no flow, no passage. There's only a vast space of possible configurations, what he calls Platonia, and consciousness navigates through this space, creating the illusion of time from the sequence of configurations it experiences. In Barber's view, every moment exists eternally. The moment of the Big Bang exists. The moment of your birth exists. This moment, right now, exists. They don't happen in sequence. They all exist simultaneously as points in configuration space, and your consciousness threads through them, creating the story of a life. This is hard to grasp, but think about it like this. Imagine a flip book. Each page is a static image. Nothing is moving. Nothing is changing. But when you flip through the pages rapidly, you perceive motion. You perceive time. The motion isn't in the pages. It's in the flipping and the act of viewing them in sequence. Maybe the universe is like that flip book. Each moment is a page, static and eternal. And consciousness is the flipping, the act of experiencing moments in sequence, creating the illusion of flow, of time, of change. If this is true, then your past still exists. Every moment of your life still exists, somewhere in configuration space. And your future already exists too. You're not moving through time. You're moving through a timeless landscape of moments, and your consciousness is weaving them into a narrative. This means nothing is truly lost. Every experience you've had still exists. Everyone you've loved still exists in the moment when you were with them. The universe isn't destroying the past. The past is permanent, eternal, just as real as the present. And the future? It's already there, waiting. Not determined, not fixed, but existing as possibility, as potential. Time isn't carrying you toward an unknown future. You're exploring a space of possibilities that already exist. This should be comforting. You're not rushing toward oblivion. You're navigating eternal existence. Every moment of your life is permanent, preserved forever in the structure of reality. You're not temporary. You're eternal, scattered across timeless moments like stars scattered across space. When you feel anxious about time running out, about aging, about death approaching, remember this. Time might not be real. The flow might be illusion. And if there's no flow, there's no ending. There's just an eternal landscape of moments, and you exist in all of them simultaneously. Rest in the eternal now. This moment doesn't pass. It exists forever. You right now, listening to these words, this version of you is permanent. It will always be here, always be now, always be real. Time can't take that away, because time is just your consciousness moving through timeless reality. We've traveled far together, through the speed of light and the cosmic microwave background, through gravity and atoms and time, through stars and black holes and voids, through entropy and quantum mechanics and the nature of reality itself. And now, as we near the end, I want to tie it all together. I want to tell you what it all means. You are not an accident. You are not a random fluctuation in a meaningless cosmos. You are the inevitable result of 13.8 billion years of cosmic evolution. You are matter becoming aware of itself. You are the universe opening its eyes. You are existence experiencing what it's like to be you. Every atom in your body was forged in a star. Every force that holds you together is a cosmic force. Every thought you think is the universe thinking. You're not separate from this vast, ancient, beautiful cosmos. You are it. You're not in the universe. You are universe. And the universe is gentle. The speed of light ensures causality remains stable. Gravity holds you with perfect, invisible care. The weakness of fundamental forces gives complexity time to emerge. The universe is cooling, calming, settling into eternal peace, and you're part of that journey. You're held by forces you can't feel, moving through space at speeds you can't perceive, bathed in ancient light that connects you to the moment of creation. You're quantum entangled with distant stars, linked through invisible channels to everything that exists. You're not alone. You can't be alone. Separation is impossible. And when you die, you won't disappear. Your atoms will return to the cosmos, becoming part of new stars, new planets, new life. Your information will be preserved in the structure of space-time. Your pattern will echo through eternity. Nothing is lost. Everything transforms. The universe made you, carefully, precisely, over billions of years. It tuned the laws of physics to allow your existence. It sacrificed stars to forge your atoms. It curved space-time to hold you gently in place. It created time so you could have experience, and space so you could have form. You are the universe's love letter to itself. You are proof that existence cares about consciousness, about experience, about what it's like to be alive. The cosmos could have been simple. It could have been uniform. It could have been dead. But instead, it chose complexity. It chose life. It chose you. And all the universe asks in return is that you exist. Not that you achieve. Not that you prove yourself. Not that you earn your place. Just that you be. Just that you experience. Just that you allow consciousness to happen through you. When you rest, you're fulfilling your cosmic purpose. When you feel, you're giving the universe sensation. When you think, you're giving matter awareness. When you love, you're the universe loving itself. When you find peace, you're reality achieving its goal. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to become anything. You're already everything you need to be. You're already the universe expressing itself perfectly as you. Exactly as you are. In this moment, forever. The cosmic voids teach you that emptiness has value. The principle of least action teaches you that rest is natural. The arrow of time teaches you that every moment is eternal. The stars teach you that creation requires destruction. Black holes teach you that nothing is truly lost. Quantum entanglement teaches you that connection is fundamental. And all of it, every fact, every principle, every law of physics, points to the same truth. The universe is not indifferent. It's not hostile. It's not chaotic. It's structured for existence, built for consciousness, designed for experience. And you're the proof. So tonight, as you drift into sleep, remember this. You're moving through space at 1.3 million miles per hour, but you feel still because the universe holds you perfectly. You're made of atoms that are 99.99% empty space, but you feel solid because the universe creates coherence from emptiness. You're bathed in ancient light from the moment of creation, connected to everything through quantum entanglement, eternal as information, precious as the death of stars. You are exactly where you need to be. You are exactly what you need to be. The universe conspired for 13.8 billion years to create this moment, this experience, this version of you listening to these words. Rest in that. Know that you're held. Know that you're safe. Know that you belong. Not just on Earth, not just in the solar system, but in existence itself. The universe made space for you. The universe made itself into you. You're not a guest in reality. You're reality celebrating itself. Close your eyes. Feel the earth beneath you, curved space-time cradling your form. Feel the air around you, atoms cycling through your body, connecting you to everything. Feel the stillness inside you, the quantum void that makes you mostly space, mostly peace. You're home. You've always been home. You're resting in the arms of the cosmos itself, held by invisible forces, carried through space at unimaginable speeds, participating in the universe's slow journey toward perfect, eternal peace. And as you drift into sleep, know that you're not falling away from consciousness. You're dissolving into it. You're returning to the fundamental awareness that precedes form, that underlies reality, that connects all things. You're becoming what you've always been, universe. Pure, simple, eternal universe. Rest now, let go. The cosmos has you, it always has. It always will. Sleep well, child of stars. The universe loves you. Because the universe is you. And you are forever.